Alright, wrestling fans, so we all know WWE is all about the glitz, the glamour, and the jaw-dropping moments that keep us glued to our screens. But not every moment is one Vince McMahon and the WWE higher-ups want to revisit. Some moments, they'd rather you forget they ever happened. But hey, that's why we're here to remind you of these moments WWE would love to bury forever. Grab your popcorn because we're diving into the top 10 moments WWE doesn't want you to see. The Montreal Screwjob. The Montreal Screwjob is a moment in wrestling history that still stings like a steel chair shot to the head. On November 9, 1997, during the Survivor Series in Montreal, Bret the Hitman Hart was set to defend his WWF Championship against Shawn Michaels. The plan was for Bret to retain the title through disqualification before heading to rival promotion WCW. But Vince McMahon had other plans. As Michaels locked Bret into his own sharpshooter, the match was supposed to continue, but instead, the bell rang out of nowhere. The referee, Earl Hebner, under McMahon's orders, ended the match, crowning Michaels the new champion. The arena erupted as Bret realized he'd been betrayed in real time. Furious, he spat in McMahon's face and destroyed TV equipment in his rage. And this wasn't yet another scripted drama. It was real. The betrayal led to the birth of McMahon's villainous Mr. McMahon persona, kicking off the Attitude Era. For Bret and his fans, it was a brutal stab in the back, a moment WWE wishes could be erased from history. Now let's talk about another incident WWE wishes would never see the light of the day again. The Chris Benoit tragedy. In June 2007, the wrestling world was shaken to its core when news broke that Chris Benoit, a revered WWE superstar, had killed his wife Nancy and their 7-year-old son Daniel before taking his own life. Fans were stunned. How could this be true? Benoit was known for his intense, no-nonsense wrestling style and dedication to his craft, earning him accolades and respect. But behind the scenes, he was fighting severe personal demons. The horrifying events unfolded over a weekend, leaving the wrestling community in disbelief. Autopsies revealed that Benoit had strangled his wife and son before hanging himself with a lat pull-down machine. Initially, WWE aired a tribute show for Benoit, unaware of the full story. But once the gruesome details emerged, WWE swiftly distanced itself from Benoit, erasing his legacy from its programming. The tragedy nearly dragged the company down with it. Benoit had shown troubling signs before the incident, including infidelity and severe brain damage from years of head trauma, which experts believe may have contributed to his mental decline. Today, Benoit's name is rarely mentioned, and his legacy is almost completely tainted by that unfortunate incident. Speaking of the Chris Benoit tragedy, the incident wasn't just an unexpected incident, it actually messed up one of Vince's bizarre storylines. Vince McMahon exploding limousine controversy. Now, we know Vince McMahon is creative, but sometimes he actually takes his storyline just a little too far. In 2007, he went overboard with the Vince McMahon exploding limousine controversy. It all went down on June 11th during an episode of Monday Night Raw. The show concluded with a dramatic and shocking scene. That's not strange for WWE, but this particular incident was on history. The company even released statements and treated the incident as a serious event, causing confusion and concern among fans and media alike. However, what was meant to be a shocking twist took a dark turn just days later. The storyline was abruptly dropped following the actual real-life tragedy of Chris Benoit's double murder-suicide. WWE canceled their planned storyline and instead aired a tribute show in Benoit's memory, though as we've learned, this was quickly regretted once the full details of the tragedy came to light. It's one storyline WWE has tried to bury, especially given the real-life events that followed. Another one of Vince McMahon's plots that just went completely overboard was the Katie Vick storyline. Katie Vick's angle. In 2002, Vince greenlit a storyline so outrageous that it's hard to believe it ever made it to television. It all started with a feud. Yeah, I know that's literally every other WWE storyline, but this one was between two big dogs, Triple H and Kane. During their rivalry, Triple H claimed that Kane had a dark secret involving a woman named Katie Vick. According to him, Katie died in a car accident while Kane was driving. Triple H accused Kane of not only causing her death, but also suggested that Kane had committed necrophilia with her corpse. Yes, you heard that right. The controversy peaked when Triple H, in an attempt to further humiliate Kane, appeared in a pre-taped segment dressed as Kane. Triple H reenacted the supposed necrophilia act with a mannequin in a funeral home, making the whole situation even more surreal.
You feel kind of stiff. Speaking of stiff, maybe I should do what I've always wanted to do.
The segment was so shocking, and the fans weren't having any of it. The whole thing was so bad that some crew members walked out in protest. WWE, sensing they had gone too far, quickly tried to move past the storyline, but it was too late. The damage was done. Now, if you thought the Katie Vick's angle is humiliating, then wait till we talk about Vince McMahon's Kiss My Ass Club. Vince McMahon's Kiss My Ass Club. The Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club epitomized the over-the-top and often controversial nature of the company during the early 2000s. This infamous club, introduced in 2001, showcased Vince's over-the-top, egomaniacal persona. The premise? Simple but degrading. Vince would force wrestlers or commentators into the degrading act of literally kissing his bare backside on live television. Phew, how weird is that? And it wasn't a one-time thing either. This man actually turned it into a whole recurring segment where if you got on Vince's bad side, he'd drop his pants and force you to kiss his backside in front of thousands of people. The first to be subjected to this indignity was William Regal, followed by others like Jim Ross, Shawn Michaels, and even Shane McMahon, Vince's own son. The Kiss My Ass Club quickly drew criticism for its crude and inappropriate nature. I mean, imagine being forced to kiss someone's bare back on live television. It's like, where does Vince McMahon draw the line? The whole thing was so condescending that WWE scrapped it faster than you can say kiss my ass. Finally, it seemed like someone stood up to Vince's crap. On June 27, 2011, during an episode of Monday Night Raw, CM Punk delivered a scathing, seemingly unscripted speech that shook the wrestling world. The pipe bomb. Punk, who was set to leave the company, sat down cross-legged on the stage and unleashed a brutally honest tirade against WWE, its management, and its top stars. He called out Vince McMahon, John Cena, and even broke the fourth wall by mentioning real-life issues within the company. Punk criticized WWE for being out of touch, complained about being overlooked despite his talent, and expressed his disdain for the company's backstage politics. But here's the question: is the pipe bomb real or scripted? The moment felt so real that fans were left questioning whether Punk had gone off script or if it was all part of a storyline. The fact that WWE cut his microphone mid-promo only added to the mystique. Now here's the kicker. Although Punk has talked about the moment being actually scripted, Punk may have taken things a bit far. He was never supposed to mention a bunch of the things, but he said okay, and then I went out and said whatever the I wanted. In the aftermath, Punk's contract status became a major storyline, leading to his WWE Championship win at Money in the Bank 2011, where he left the arena through the crowd with the title in hand. Now Punk may have called out Vince's hypocrisy, but this next incident proves that sometimes Vince finds it hard to take accountability of some of his words and actions. Vince McMahon's N-word incident. In 2015, Hulk Hogan was dropped by WWE for using the word N. But here's the thing, 10 years prior, Vince McMahon was shown backstage interacting with John Cena, and in an attempt to appear cool, Vince casually used the N-word saying, "Keep it up, my n***," to Cena. The camera then cut to Booker T, an African-American wrestler who was standing nearby with his wife Sharmell. Booker's stunned and incredulous reaction, "Tell me he didn't just say that," mirrored what many viewers were likely thinking.
Keep it up, my n***.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Hulk felt cheated as the same word came from the head of the company himself on national television. Fans echoed this sentiment, accusing WWE of hypocrisy. However, WWE was quick to defend itself, claiming Vince was merely playing a fictional role, while Hulk's use of the word was in real-world context. Either way, the Vince McMahon N-word controversy drew backlash, with fans calling it an example of WWE's tone deafness and willingness to cross boundaries for the sake of cheap shock value. Sigh, guess it just never ends with Vince. If you thought the previous controversies were messy, then the Sable 1999 sexual harassment will blow your mind. The Sable 1999 sexual harassment. Sable, whose real name is Rena Lesnar, was one of WWE's most popular divas of the era, known for her glamour and in-ring persona. However, behind the scenes, she faced a toxic environment that led her to take drastic legal action. In June 1999, Sable filed a $110 million lawsuit against WWE, and trust me when I say it contained a lot. She accused the company of sexual harassment and unsafe working conditions. Sable claimed that WWE had created a hostile work environment where she was subjected to degrading and inappropriate behavior. She alleged that she was pressured into participating in increasingly risque storylines and segments. Finally, the final one to set her off was when she was asked to go topless on live television. Can you imagine being forced to work under such terrible working conditions? And if you are thinking, no way this is all true, well, you can't be more wrong. Over the years, many stars at the time, including X-Pac, admitted that Sable wasn't lying. Many saw the lawsuit as a bold move against a company that had long been criticized for its treatment of women. WWE settled the case out of court, reportedly for a significantly lower amount than what Sable had initially sought. And it's no wonder that WWE would rather no one remember the whole Sable sexual harassment incident. Another woman who had given so much to WWE but received much less in return was Chyna. Chyna's erasure from WWE history. Chyna's erasure from WWE is a glaring example of former stars who fell out of favor with the company. Chyna, born Joni Laurer, was a trailblazer in WWE during the late 90s and early 20s. She broke barriers as the first and only woman to win the Intercontinental Championship, and she also competed in the Men's Royal Rumble, a feat unheard of for female wrestlers at the time. Yet despite her groundbreaking achievements, WWE has conspicuously minimized Chyna's legacy. Chyna's erasure began after she departed from WWE in 2001. Following her exit, Chyna's life spiraled, with issues including substance abuse and a tumultuous stint in the adult film industry. And although WWE stated all these as the reasons why she got blackballed, one thing they failed to mention was that Triple H, who was once her boyfriend, cheated on her with WWE's chief brand officer, Stephanie McMahon. For years, Chyna's contributions were overlooked. Fans and wrestlers alike called out the company for its treatment of Chyna, arguing that her personal struggles shouldn't overshadow her monumental impact on the industry. It wasn't until after her tragic death in 2016 that WWE began to acknowledge Chyna's contributions, albeit sparingly.
You know, the word trailblazer gets thrown around quite a bit these days, but this group that's standing before you tonight would not have reached the heights that it reached without the contribution of the biggest and the best trailblazer.
She was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2019 as part of D-Generation X, though many felt this was too little, too late, and that she deserved a solo induction. While some wrestlers are being discriminated against, some others are treated with way too much leniency. The JBL bullying incident. The JBL bullying incident was deeply frowned upon by the WWE universe. It cast a shadow on John Bradshaw Layfield, a former WWE champion known for his tough guy persona. While JBL was celebrated on screen as a brash, arrogant Texan behind the scenes, his reputation was far more problematic, with multiple allegations of bullying and harassment directed at his fellow wrestlers.
I just love John Bradshaw Layfield.
Oh, that guy. There are very few people in the world I'd like to see hit in the face with an anvil.
But no,
as much as I'd like. No, that guy is a bully.
But
I'd like to punch him in the face.
One of the most publicized incidents occurred in 2007 when WWE commentator Mauro Ranallo, who suffers from bipolar disorder, left the company. It was widely reported that JBL's constant harassment had contributed to Ranallo's departure. The allegations sparked outrage among fans and other wrestlers, leading to widespread criticism of JBL and also WWE for allowing such behavior to persist. JBL's alleged bullying wasn't limited to Ranallo. Over the years, several other wrestlers like the Hardy Boys and The Miz have spoken out about their negative experiences with him. But what's crazy is that JBL never showed remorse. Every time he gets accused, he responds by insulting them and claiming innocence. Even worse is that his behavior seemed to be encouraged by the company. Fans were enraged, and they demanded WWE show him the way home, especially after the Mauro Ranallo incident. But JBL wasn't the only one the company was supposed to show the way home. Let's talk about the plane ride from hell and what the incident ultimately resulted in. The plane ride from hell. In the spring of 2002, the WWE plane ride from hell became infamous for its chaotic and unprofessional behavior, leaving a mark on wrestling history. What should have been a routine flight quickly spiraled into pandemonium. We are talking chaos, alcohol, egos, unresolved tension, and everything in between. The whole thing led to a series of shocking events among the wrestlers. To be honest, the occurrence could mostly be blamed on booze, as the plane was stocked with an open bar, and many wrestlers began drinking heavily. And this fueled a series of incidents that have since become legendary for all the wrong reasons. I mean, imagine having drunk wrestlers on a plane. It all screamed recipe for disaster. It wasn't long before the feud started brewing among the wrestlers. One of the craziest was when Curt Hennig reportedly initiated a physical altercation with Brock Lesnar, nearly causing the two to crash into the emergency exit door mid-flight. The aftermath of the plane ride from hell was severe. Several wrestlers faced consequences, especially Hennig, who was released from WWE shortly after the incident. The plane ride from hell has remained an infamous topic topic, one which WWE would rather its fans forget. Now this next one is straight up the company's fault, as it's an incident so painful that it's still a sore topic in the wrestling world. The Owen Hart tragedy. On May 23, 1999, during the Over the Edge pay-per-view event in Kansas City, Missouri, Owen Hart, a beloved and highly skilled wrestler, was set to perform a dramatic entrance as his superhero-like character, the Blue Blazer. The stunt involved Hart being lowered from the rafters of the Kemper Arena via a harness and grappling line. Tragically, something horribly went wrong. The harness malfunctioned, causing Hart to fall approximately 78 feet to the ring below. He landed chest first on the top rope and then was thrown into the ring. The impact was devastating, and despite immediate medical attention, Hart was pronounced dead at the hospital shortly afterwards. He was just 34 years old. But what made the scandal even more controversial was WWE's decision to continue the event after Hart's fall. How crazy is that? Vince literally prioritized profit over his own employee. Fans in the arena and those watching at home were not immediately informed of the seriousness of the situation, leading to widespread shock when the truth was revealed. The tragedy remains one of the most painful accidents to talk about in the history of WWE, especially for his family and fans alike. Eventually, Owen's death led to his widow, Martha Hart, filing a lawsuit against WWE, the Owen Hart lawsuit. Martha argued that the company had failed to ensure a safe environment for its performers. The lawsuit accused WWE of negligence and recklessness, claiming that safety protocols were ignored and the stunt was poorly executed. Martha sought damages for wrongful death, citing the immense emotional and financial toll the tragedy took on her and her family. I mean, for sure, no amount of money could ever make up for the pain of Owen's death, but it could for sure lessen it. So finally, in 2000, the lawsuit was settled out of court, with the Hart family receiving an $18 million settlement. Ever since, Martha Hart's relationship with WWE remained strained, and she has always been vocal about her opposition to the company's handling of the incident and their attempts to honor Owen's legacy. She even filed another lawsuit in 2010, accusing them of breaching the contract restricting the use of Owen's name and likeness. All in all, the case sheds light on the importance of safety in professional wrestling, which, to be fair, shouldn't even be necessary. I mean, if only the right precautions were put in place, maybe Owen Hart will still be with us today. If you think filing a lawsuit against the company was extreme, then you might reconsider once you realize just how often the WWE puts its employees in harm's way. The Brawl for All. If by any chance you haven't heard of 1998 Brawl for All, then you might want to sit tight for this. In 1998, WWE introduced Brawl for All as a legitimate, unscripted tough man competition disguised as a wrestling tournament. The idea was reportedly to settle backstage disputes over who was the toughest wrestler for real. The concept involved WWE wrestlers fighting in legit boxing matches, complete with knockouts and a point system, with the winner promised a major push. But things quickly spiraled out of control. Most of the participants were professional wrestlers, not trained fighters, leading to real injuries that sidelined several performers. Dr. Death Steve Williams, who was favored to win, suffered a severe injury that derailed his career. Bart Gunn, an unexpected underdog, won the tournament but was then unceremoniously knocked out in a legitimate boxing match against Butterbean at WrestleMania 15, effectively burying his WWE career. The whole match was a rumble jumble with nothing positive coming out of it. The tournament not only injured talent and ruined careers, but also failed to deliver any significant ratings boost or fan interest. It was seen as a waste of time, with no real payoff or storyline value. I wish I could tell you that at this point we've exhausted all of Vince's meaningless storyline, but that would be a lie. This next one will straight up blow your mind. The Ultimate Warrior's 1996 return. The Ultimate Warrior's 1996 return to WWE was supposed to be a triumphant comeback, but instead, it quickly turned into a controversial and short-lived chapter that left a sour taste in the mouths of fans and WWE management alike. WWE dropped Warrior in 1992 after his admitted use of steroids. The use of steroids was greatly frowned upon by the sports industry at the time. Anyway, Warrior's return was heavily hyped, and fans were eager to see the powerhouse back in action. He made his comeback at WrestleMania 14 in April 1996, where he quickly squashed Triple H in a match that lasted barely over a minute. While the win was meant to re-establish Warrior as an unstoppable force, it actually angered many within WWE, particularly Triple H. But the real controversy, that was behind the scenes. Warrior's erratic behavior and demands for more money soon became a problem. He was reportedly difficult to work with, and his relationship with Vince McMahon, already strained from their previous fallout, deteriorated rapidly. The final straw straw came when Warrior began missing shows, citing the death of his father as a reason for his absences. However, WWE claimed that Warrior had been estranged from his father and felt that his excuses were unjustified. While Warrior would eventually be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2014, his 1996 return remains a controversial and largely forgotten chapter in his storied career. Alright, we may have gotten a bit too serious there, so let's shift gears and dive into the next controversy, one that's as hilarious as it is bizarre: the Gobbledy Gooker. The Gobbledy Gooker is another infamous misstep in WWE history, a moment so ill-conceived that the company has spent decades trying to forget it ever happened. In the lead-up to the 1990 Survivor Series, WWE teased the hatching of a giant egg, leaving fans speculating about what could possibly be inside. Would it be a new wrestler, a returning superstar? The anticipation was high, and WWE played it up for weeks. Finally, on November 22, 1990, the egg cracked open, and out popped a man in a giant turkey costume. Yes, you heard that right. A man dressed as a turkey who called himself the Gobbledy Gooker. What even is that? The audience in attendance was stunned, and not in a good way. The reaction was a mix of groans, boos, and sheer disbelief. The Gobbledy Gooker was portrayed by Hector Guerrero, talented wrestler from the famous Guerrero wrestling family. Yet no amount of talent could save this gimmick. The Gobbledy Gooker became an instant punchline, and WWE quickly scrapped the character, never to be seen again, at least not in any serious capacity. While WWE tries to laugh it off today, it's clear that they'd prefer fans forget this turkey ever hatched. This next controversy is yet another one of Vince's ideas that totally crossed the line. And the backlash? It was huge. The Muhammad Hassan storyline. Introduced in 2004, Hassan, played by Italian-American Mark Copani, was portrayed as a Muslim-American angry over post-9/11 discrimination. What could have been a nuanced character quickly devolved into harmful stereotypes, sparking outrage among fans and critics alike. The controversy hit its peak on July 7, 2005, when an episode of SmackDown aired a segment involving Hassan and his manager, Daivari. They summoned a group of masked men who appeared to be terrorists to attack The Undertaker. The timing couldn't have been worse. The episode aired just hours after the real-life London bombings, which killed 52 people. The backlash was immediate and severe, with fans and advocacy groups condemning WWE for its insensitivity. It got everyone like, how inconsiderate is that? Are there no boundaries anymore? WWE tried to claim it was an unfortunate coincidence, but the damage was done. UPN, the network airing SmackDown, demanded Hassan's removal from television. Days later, WWE wrote Hassan out of storylines, effectively ending Mark Copani's career, which is quite unfortunate, as Copani seemed to have had a bright future in wrestling. Vince has proven time and again that he goes wherever the money is, and the Saudi Arabia controversy is a huge testament to that. The Saudi Arabia controversy. In 2018, WWE signed a lucrative 10-year deal with the Saudi General Sports Authority, agreeing to hold high-profile events as part of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 Inches initiative. But while the deal brought in big money, it also sparked widespread criticism. The backlash was fueled by Saudi Arabia's poor human rights record, particularly regarding women, LGBTQ+ individuals, and political dissidents. Critics slammed WWE for prioritizing profit over principles by partnering with such a regime. The controversy hit a peak in October 2018 after the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, a critic of the Saudi government. Amid global outrage, many called for WWE to cancel its Crown Jewel event in Riyadh. Despite the backlash and the refusal of stars like John Cena and Daniel Bryan to participate, WWE went ahead with Crown Jewel, citing contractual obligations. The decision was widely seen as morally questionable, and each subsequent Saudi event has reignited debate over WWE's involvement in the country. The controversy remains a dark cloud over the company's global ambitions. If I'm not the only one who feels that Vince has earned a serious wake-up call, then you're definitely going to appreciate what comes next. Nailz attacks Vince McMahon. The Nailz attacks Vince McMahon incident is an infamous behind-the-scenes controversy in WWE history. The year was 1992, and Kevin Wachholtz, better known by his ring name Nailz, was a towering figure on WWE television. Portrayed as a deranged convict with a vendetta against the Big Boss Man, Nailz's character was menacing both in the ring and out. However, the real drama unfolded backstage in an incident that would lead to legal battles and a permanent rift with WWE. According to another wrestler, Sags, who was recounting the experience, months, Nailz was unhappy with his payoff for a recent match and confronted Vince McMahon in his office. Nailz allegedly assaulted McMahon, knocking him to the ground and even choking him. It was rare for anyone to openly challenge McMahon, let alone physically attack him, but not Nailz. He wasn't willing to stick with Vince's BS. Following the altercation, Nailz was immediately fired from WWE. However, the drama didn't end there. Nailz later filed a wrongful termination lawsuit against WWE, claiming that McMahon had sexually harassed him, a claim that was widely viewed as baseless and retaliatory. WWE countersued, and the case was eventually dismissed. To this day, WWE prefers to keep this explosive incident out of the spotlight. Finally, this last one is just straight up hilarious. The Shockmaster debut. Let's round it all up with the Shockmaster's debut. This has become legendary for all the wrong reasons. In 1993, WCW was gearing up for the debut of a new, supposedly unstoppable character, the Shockmaster. The plan was for the Shockmaster to make a grand entrance on Clash of the Champions 44, bursting through a wall to join a star-studded team that included Sting and Davey Boy Smith. The character, portrayed by Fred Ottman, was meant to be an intimidating force, donning a sparkly stormtrooper helmet and a fur vest. However, things went off the rails. As the Shockmaster charged through the wall, he tripped over a piece of wood and fell face first onto the floor, losing his helmet in the process. The fall exposed the character's less than intimidating identity, leaving the audience and fellow wrestlers in stunned silence. The botched debut quickly became a laughingstock, with Ric Flair and other wrestlers on commentary struggling to contain their laughter. The Shockmaster's disastrous debut was an instant meme before memes were even a thing. The Shockmaster's debut is a prime example of how a single moment can derail an entire character and storyline, and it's one WWE and WCW would likely prefer fans forget, but fans haven't, and it remains one of the most infamous blunders in wrestling history. That's a wrap on the top 20 moments WWE doesn't want you to see. From scandals to controversies, we've dug up the dirt, but there's more where that came from. Click on the videos on your screen to uncover even more shocking secrets and untold stories from the world of WWE. Trust us, you won't want to miss it.